So after another hectic weekend in the Championship, we are back for another episode of the Championship Roundup. We've also got some midweek action going on this week, which we will be predicting in the second half of this video. So make sure to get your score predictions in. But before we do hop into anything, I wanted to give a shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball, a really cool football app, which I will leave a link to in the top line of the description down below. Over on there, you can go ahead and look at some of the games we talk about today in a little bit more detail. You can also preview the games which are coming up in midweek as well. And with how tight the Championship is at the moment, the next 2 or 3 games could really have a bearing on how the league table is shaping up. But over on the app, you can go ahead and get live updates to your phone so you'll never fall behind on any Championship news, so I'd highly recommend it. And before we do hop into any of this weekend's games, I will include you guys' score predictions on screen now. So if any of you did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct, then fair play. I had a relatively decent week. Both myself and FIFA got 2 of our score predictions correct this time around, so not too bad going from us. But without any further ado, let's get into talk about some of these games. So starting things out with Friday night's game between Fulham and QPR. A decent result for Fulham, which does see them lifted into the top 6, but it was QPR who started as the better of the two sides. Jordan Hugo's attempt just about going in over the line, and the first half performance from QPR on the whole, I was quite impressed by them actually. I thought they were pressing Fulham very well off the ball. They were creating a lot of chances. Tim Ream almost put the ball into the back of his net. Eze and Bull both stood out to me in midfield for QPR. Todd Kane provided some decent crosses down that right hand side moving forward. It was just once again for QPR individual mistakes which caught them out and really cost them this game. The first goal, Kamara putting it away, a free header inside the box. QPR's defenders sort of caught ball watching for that one, and the second one, obviously a mistake from Joe Lumley trying to play out from the back, gives it straight to Johansson, and then a simple pass from him into Kamara, and he makes it 2-1 to Fulham. Kamara, by the way, filling in for the boots of Mitrovic, but not a bad player to come into the side. It's quite a frustrating one for QPR because I think that everyone sees the potential there. They've got a brilliant midfield, some brilliant forward options, but they just keep letting themselves down defensively with the sort of same basic mistakes every time. The early kick-off on Saturday saw Charlton drawing 2-2 with Cardiff City. Now, Charlton are incredibly hit with injuries at the moment. They can only name 6 substitutions for this game, and they really have to fill up their bench with youngsters. So, considering the position they currently find themselves in the Championship, with the amount of restraints that Lee Bowyer is working with, I think it's been a fantastic season for them so far. It's just a frustrating one that they threw away a 2-goal lead in this one. In the first half, they got their goal-scoring touch back. I think that lately, something they've been missing maybe has been a little bit of creativity from midfield, but Oztumer, I thought, stood out to me in this game, and Sam Gallagher took the lead after just 13 minutes in this one after some nice work from Macaulay Bonne. Jonathan Lacko then made it 2-0 just before half-time, but in the second half, there was definitely a change in mentality from Cardiff. I thought they looked much better after the break. They did get a penalty, quite a similar penalty actually that Preston were awarded when we played at the Valley earlier on in the season, but Junior Hoylett couldn't convert that. Quite a poor penalty really, but Phillips made the good save. Not too long after that though, Mendes Liang did get the goal back, and on the 57th minute, making it 2-1, you could sense that Cardiff were going to grow back into this game, and they were looking much stronger for that second half, like I said. Eventually, it was Lee Tomlin who did score the equaliser. The ball pulled back nicely from Bennett, and I think that Phillips sort of slipped as Tomlin put it in at his near post, but a good finish from Lee Tomlin. Cardiff looks much better in that second half, obviously being Neil Harris's first game in charge. Blackburn against Barnsley was the sort of game where shoddy defending was on full show for this one, if I'm being honest. Barnsley gifted Blackburn the lead after 24 minutes in this one, trying to play out from the back, and then Bradley Dack was left with this happen basically after they cheaply given the ball away in midfield. But I have to say, on reflection of this whole game, it was Barnsley for large parts of it who were taking control of it, playing some nice football going forward, opening up quite a few chances. They did get back into the game in the start of the second half, Connor Chaplin ending off quite a nice move. And when Barnsley are going forward, I don't think they're necessarily that bad of a side. You know, they certainly got goals in them. Blackburn then retook the lead though, Stuart down with a decent finish from outside the box. Barnsley then got back into the game after Coley Woodrow finished off what was quite a nice passing move from Barnsley. Alex Moat starting that one in midfield. They gradually got the ball forward, and Blackburn defensively all over the place, but nevertheless it was a well taken goal for Barnsley. But speaking of shoddy defending, that was once again on show for the last goal as well. A set piece swung in, it was headed on, Barnsley just couldn't clear their lines, and at the second time of asking, Bradley Dack managed to put the ball into the back of the net. Barnsley, of course, it was their new manager Struber's first game in charge. Once again, a lot of the same things were highlighted in this one. I thought they looked good going forward, playing some decent passing football, but until they can sort out the defence, you just can't see them surviving. Like, they can't go on like this, consistently conceding 2 and 3 goals every game. Then we saw Brentford beating Reading by 1-0. Another win for Brentford. That's now 5 wins from their last 6 matches. They're only 2 points off the playoffs now, and maybe a bit of a dark horse sneaking up into that top 6 equation. For this game, Ollie Watkins scoring the only goal of the game. A really nice ball in from Jensen in the second half, just from the edge of the box, and a fantastic header from Watkins into the far post to make it 1-0. Reading's best chance chance of the game probably came in the first half, and it fell to Puskas. He was sent through on goal. Didn't really go through on goal with much conviction. He took one too many touches, didn't really know when to pull the trigger, but I would give credit in that situation to David Ray, who came out and handled the ball well to keep the scoreline down. I think Puskas at the start of the season, you know, thinking back to that amazing performance he had against Cardiff, if it's that Puskas, he's putting that into the back of the net, but doesn't seem to be a striker who's playing with all too much confidence at the moment. But Brentford, like I said, taking their chance for this one. They sort of grind out the second half after that then. There were a couple of other chances for each side. Gareth McCleary had one which just went wide for Reading as well, but it wasn't to be their day going forward, and this was their first defeat under Mark Bowen. But like I said, Brentford at the moment going very well, and looking at the next few fixtures, got quite a few more winnable ones coming up as well for me. Bristol City against Nottingham Forest ended as a goalless draw. Two sides who I think a lot of people are expecting to be in that mix for the top 6 this season. Nothing could separate them in this one. Probably the biggest talking point from it was the red card for Ryan Yates in the second half. A two-footed challenge on Adam Nagy, who is just coming back from an injury. Quite stupid really, and it leaves Forest in a bit of an awkward position for the rest of that game. He made a mistake for that one, and then obviously leaves Forest having to tinker with their squad for the rest of this game. But Bristol City did have quite a bit of the ball for this one, but couldn't really translate that into creating too many chances. Their best chance actually probably came from Ryan Yates hitting the post after Vyman had put the ball across the box. Forest had a couple of decent chances. Thiago Silva once again was someone who stood out to me. I think he's showing his real flashes of quality. He tried to make things happen, and Daniel Bentley had to come up with a couple of saves. Lewis Grobban had a chip in the second half which almost went in, but neither side was quite on it in the final third in this one. Then we had Derby beating Northend by 1-0. Preston coming off the back of an international break, and with our record against Derby in the last 10 years, this one was never going to end well, and Derby deservedly taking all 3 points from this one. First off, especially, Derby were playing some fantastic football. One of the main criticisms that a lot of people have had with Derby so far this season is that sort of lack of creativity and spark from midfield. That certainly wasn't the case in the first half for Derby, because they were absolutely tearing us apart. They were getting in behind our defence time after time. They were moving forward. There was tempo to the play they were going for, and they easily could have taken the lead before they eventually did. You know, they had 2 great one-on-one chances. They hit the crossbar, but eventually Martin Waghorn did give Derby the lead after 33 minutes. Once again from Northend, a frustrated one, because it is another goal we have considered coming from a set piece. I think that has been a bit of a weakness for us lately. And Preston in the first half, we just didn't really turn up for this one. You know, one of our strong points is our midfield, but it was non-existent for this one. You know, Pearson, Brown, DJ, none of them were in the game for the first half. I thought Preston did improve in the second half, and Derby were able to sit off us a little bit, having that 1-goal lead. They weren't quite playing with the same tempo. They were just looking to see the game off from that point onwards. But Paul Gallagher, I thought, came on and played well. Billy Bowden as well had some nice moments, but we never really created any clear-cut chances, and that was a shame really, because the one weakness that I could sort of see with Derby was Roos. He sort of fumbled across in the first half, and I thought that if we were to put a bit more pressure on him for that second half, we could have potentially seen a bit of joy out of that, but we didn't do that, and in the end I can't really have many complaints about that one. Derby deserved all 3 points. Hopefully for Northend we'll bounce back in midweek. Then we had Huddersfield drawing 1-1 with Birmingham. Now Huddersfield had some decent chances for this one and could have potentially put this game to bed a little bit sooner and gone on to get all 3 points. Alex Pritchard was someone who really stood out to me. I thought that on another day could have got 2 or 3 assists for this one. He put 2 fantastic chances sort of on the plate for Kachunga, who had 2 free headers in this game but couldn't get on the score sheet. Interestingly enough for Birmingham, Connell Truman was brought into the starting 11 after some up and down performances from Lee Camp. It was Truman who was given the nod for this one, and he did make some decent saves in fairness to him. Made a decent save from an Alex Pritchard free kick, obviously saved the 2 free headers from Kachunga as well, and Huddersfield were continuing to create chances throughout this game. Eventually in the second half though, the deadlock was broken. A fantastic assist from Chalobah in midfield, sort of a defence splitting pass which carved open Birmingham brilliantly into the path of Fraser Campbell, and then he put the ball away to make it 1-0. The only criticism from Huddersfield from that point onwards was they couldn't close off the game and see it out. Birmingham did get back into it, Roberts getting on the score sheet after what was a bit of a goalmouth scramble, and ultimately that was how the match finished. So on the road for Birmingham, I don't think that's a bad point from them given all the circumstances. For Huddersfield, maybe a bit frustrating because I do think they had the chances to win this one. Losing against Leeds ended up being quite an intense match actually. In the first half it was Leeds pressing forward as they usually do, creating a lot of chances, but Shea, the Luton Town goalkeeper, really was the star of the show in that one. Made some absolutely fantastic saves. One from Calvin Phillips to deny him from outside the box. He also saved the rebound for that one, and they denied Tyler Roberts as well with another absolutely fantastic save. Leeds did take the lead in the second half though through Patrick Bamford. A little bit of controversy to this one. Was Izzy Brown fouled in the build-up by Calvin Phillips? I've looked at it a few times and I think that it would have been a bit of a soft foul. I think that Izzy Brown did go down a little bit easily, and then Ben White just took the ball and ran with it up half the pitch and then slotted through Patrick Bamford, and a brilliant finish from him in at the near post. So for me personally, that would have been a bit of a soft foul, but on the other hand, you do see them given from time to time, so it sort of depends on the day for the referee and what decisions he's given each side. You know, all that people want really is consistency for those sort of things, so I can sort of see an argument for it going each way. But speaking of Izzy Brown, he brilliantly got the assist for Luton Town's equaliser, his 6th of the season. A brilliant ball into the far post where Collins was there waiting, and a fantastic header to make it 1-1. Luton did take the lead, but they then had a goal ruled out. I'd have to see a replay of that one from a different angle to make a definitive opinion of it, but in the dying embers of this game, Leeds United do go on to win this game, in the end going down as a Pearson own goal. Devastating for Luton, considering they had given absolutely everything into this performance, but a big 3 points for Leeds, which does see them lifted to 2nd in the Championship. Stoke beat Wigan in quite dramatic circumstances as well. They popped up with a last-minute winner in this one. Wigan Athletic, though, throwing away a lead and leaves them in a bit of a perilous position going into midweek now. Stoke just 1 point behind Wigan, and so there's a real possibility that over the next couple of weeks we will be seeing them dropping into the bottom 3. Another question to be asked: how much longer does Paul Cook have to turn around these results for Wigan? It's a lot of interesting things at the moment, but it was Wigan who actually took the lead in this one after an absolute calamitous mistake from Stoke at the back. Sort of summing up Stoke's season so far, really. They started out quite brightly, had a few opportunities, they hit the crossbar, but then after a really bizarre goal, it was Jamal Lowe who raced through on goal after Joe Allen had lost the ball in midfield. Edwards had quite a few opportunities to then clear the ball, but he left it for Jack Butland. Butland then smashed the ball against Edwards and then left Sam Morsey with a tap in to make it 1-0 to Wigan. After going a goal down, after making that sort of mistake earlier on in the season, their heads would have dropped, but fair play to them. In the second half, they came back stronger. Defensively, for both goals, I thought that Wigan were quite poor after that. Danny Bath and then Juve in the 93rd minute managed to seal all 3 points for Stoke, but fair play to them, a massive 3 points. That's now 2 wins for 2 for O'Neill. Wigan, on the other hand, we're in times at the moment. Millwall managed to claim their first 3 points away from home this season with a 1-0 away victory over Swansea City. Now, the international break probably came at a bad time for Swansea because they were really caught flat for this one. There wasn't really any sort of energy or spark about their performance, moving the ball going forward at a high tempo. None of that was really on show for Swansea in this one. Their best chance probably came in the first half to AU, but that was well saved by Bilkowski, and apart from that, it was a game where there wasn't really that much quality in there. But one real moment of quality was for Millwall's goal. We've seen some fantastic free kicks being scored so far this season. You know, Grosicki has scored some fantastic ones, but this goal by Jed Wallace, absolute peach of the finish, arrows into the top corner. Freddie Woodman stood absolutely no chance for it, and definitely one of my favourite free kicks I've seen scored so far this season. But a nice way for Millwall to get their first away win of the season. Swansea, for this one, they'll be looking to bounce back in midweek because they dropped well below their performance levels in this one. West Brom continued their hot run of form with a 2-1 home victory over Sheffield Wednesday. They took the lead fairly early on in this one. Hal Robson-Kanu, who's a striker, banging form for them at the moment. A fantastic through ball from Pereira, who is an absolute gem of a player that West Brom have picked up for this season. But a brilliant through ball from him into Robson-Kanu. He then coolly slots it under the legs of Westwood to make it 1-0. And then after that, 2 penalty decisions which are quite interesting for me. I think that I would probably say that both Wednesday's and West Brom's penalties that were given in this one were fairly soft. Let me know down below what you made of that one. But Fletcher did put away Wednesday's penalty in the 58th minute, and then Sheffield Wednesday at the moment just love conceding late on. They can't hold on to a lead, it seems, at the moment. It was great persistence shown by Pereira to chase down a loose ball, and then Westwood was judged to have brought him down, and West Brom were awarded the penalty, brilliantly sucked away by Charlie Austin, and that was enough for West Brom to go ahead and seal all 3 points. Palmer was then sent off in the 92nd minute for Wednesday. I think that quite a rash challenge, more frustration than anything else. I didn't think that Wednesday played particularly badly for this one. It was just they didn't quite have enough quality in the final third to really hurt West Brom. But a good 3 points for them at the Hawthorns, where they've been very strong so far this season. That does still see them sat top of the Championship. For Wednesday, I was a little bit surprised to see Fernando Forestieri as an unused substitute in this one. I thought that they were lacking that bit more dynamism in the final third, which he could have added to. But in the end, 2-1 West Brom, good win for them. And then to round off the video, we have Middlesbrough drawing 2-2 with Hull City. Now, this one personifying the cliche, a game of two halves, really. Middlesbrough have shown glimpses so far this season that they really can play football, and that was on show in the first half of this one. Tavernier taking the lead for Borough after 7 minutes, a bit of suspect defending from Hull to leave him unmarked, but the second goal, scored by Fletcher, absolutely superb build-up play for this one. The link-up between Fletcher and the Sonbalonga, the nice little give and go, Fletcher then taking it around long. Honestly, it was an absolutely fantastic goal and definitely one of the goals of the weekend. Then what probably would turn out to be the game-changing moment from this match was Johnson getting sent off in the 37th minute for just a stupid challenge on Lehigh, really. It was high, it was reckless, and rightly so was given as a red card. That then leaves Borough in a bit of an awkward situation going into the second half with that 2-goal lead but being down to 10 men. Woodgate, you could sort of see the instruction in the second half was to just sit back off a little bit. Hull were piling the pressure on, and Middlesbrough didn't really have any sort of response to that. Hull hadn't turned up for the first half, but in the second half they were straight at Middlesbrough, and as soon as they started to do that, some of their flaws started to show through. It was a thumping finish from Jarrod Bowen to make it 2-1. Absolutely thunderous strike from outside the box, and then he, just a few minutes later, got the equaliser as the ball fell kindly to him in the box and made it 2-2. So Borough throwing away that 2-goal lead. Given the situation they're in at the moment, that's a massive 2 points they've given away in that one. But for Hull, decent point considering the circumstances. Looking forward to playing them in midweek. But those were all the games that did go on this weekend. In terms of my goal of the weekend, there's a lot of contenders for this one. That fantastic Joe Wallace free kick, Jarrod Bowen's effort, but I think I'm actually going to give it to Ashley Fletcher for his goal against Hull City. It was just the build-up play to it. I'm a bit of a sucker for a team goal like that. Then for my result of the weekend, I'm going to give it to Millwall for getting their first away win of the season, beating Swansea by 1-0. And before we do wrap up today's video, I will go through my midweek score predictions, and we got some interesting ones. So as always, all these games will be in the description down below so that you guys can go ahead and make your score predictions. So Cardiff going up against Stoke, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw in that one. I can see quite a few goals being scored. Stoke definitely capable of scoring more goals now, but I still see a couple of defensive fragilities in there. Fulham against Derby. Now, I very much like the performance from Derby against Preston this weekend, but away from home, they've not quite been at the same level as they've been playing at home lately. So for that one, I think I'm just going to edge Fulham 2-1, but Derby could pull off an upset in that one. Huddersfield against Swansea, I'm just going to edge Huddersfield in that one for a 1-0. Swansea, not the best this weekend. Luton against Charlton, I'm going to say 2-1 Luton. I thought they got a little bit unlucky against Leeds United, and with Charlton having quite a depleted squad at the moment, that's a good opportunity for Luton. Millwall against Wigan, I'm just going to edge the home side as well, 1-0. Reading against Leeds, I see a lot of chances being created in that one. Both sides like to play football, but I think I'm just edging towards Leeds for a 2-1. Quite similar for Brentford going away to Blackburn as well. I'm just going to edge Brentford in that game, although it's a sort of one where they potentially could slip up. Hull going up against Preston, I'd like to say that I can see goals being scored in this one, and I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. Preston's record on the road, not the greatest at the moment, and Hull certainly capable of scoring goals. Middlesbrough against Barnsley is an absolutely massive game. I think I'm just going to edge Borough for a 2-1 home victory. Neither side can really defend at the moment, and considering the bottom three, that's a very big game. I'm just saying 2-1 Borough, although that one could really go either way. QPR against Forest, I'm going to say 1-1. Sheffield Wednesday against Birmingham, also going to say as a 1-1 draw. And then finally, we got West Brom going up against Bristol City. I think that Bristol City will put up a good fight in that one, but I'm going to back West Brom to continue their impressive home record with a 2-1 victory. So that's what I'm thinking for this week's midweek games. Let me know in the comments down below, what are you fancying? I'm always interested to know. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. So if you did go on to enjoy, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. Make sure you subscribe for a bit of regular championship content. But apart from that, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.